How's it going, everybody? It is Lucas here, aka Tekon, and today we're going to do something very, very special. We are going to be doing a mix breakdown of the GidKidDad song, I'm Coming Back. This is the first single that we put out on the Stream Studios, under the Stream Studios banner, that had vocals on it, and establishing Josh as a solo artist in preparation for the Love band, or whatever you want to call it, the Love group that we're putting out. I had already had a bunch of solo music done already on my Tekon page, and now he has a solo song out, and then obviously going forward, we're going to be doing most of the music that we do is going to be together under the Love moniker. But this was the first song that we were like, you know what, let's put out something for the people who follow Stream Studio, the people who follow GidKidDad, just to establish him as his own artist and give some credit to the things that we're going to be doing going forward on his end. So I'm really excited to do this. I've never done a mix breakdown before, so this is very, very cool. We can get into it. So this is the old Cubase. We work with a newer, brighter, shinier, very nicer version of Cubase, and now, but with this song, we're working on the old one. So there's a lot of things that go into some of the mixing and mastering, some of the just general recording stuff that we had to do because of the old version, and they're not really what people do nowadays. It's not really up to par with what people do production-wise nowadays. But I will say that we made do for a long time. I've been working with this program for a long time, and I made do with what I had. So also, I was working with some older equipment, so some of these waveforms are so tiny, and it's very not what I'm supposed to be doing. But like I said, we had to work through it, and we did what we could at the time. Things are a lot better now, but with this, whatever. So we're working on the old Cubase today, and I'm going to show you guys the breakdown of the song. It's actually a very, very simple song as far as instruments go and the arrangement. It's very, very easy, actually. So we can get into it right now. Let me open up the bigger camera for you guys so you guys can kind of see what's going on here. All right, let's start with the guitar. So let's solo out the guitar here. Very crisp sounding guitar. What I wanted to do for this was kind of just cut out as much of the low end of this guitar as I could, just so it wasn't booming out above everything else, because later there is some bass in the song. And recording 101, mixing 101 is that you want everything to have its own space in the song. So I'll show you. I'll bring up the EQ. Okay, so this is my guitar EQ, and because of the equipment that I had, this is kind of a odd way to EQ a guitar, but because of the kind of equipment that I had before, this was kind of what we had. So this area right here, if you look, I hope you guys like this stuff, but this is my entire life. I love this stuff. So this is frequency. So this is really, really low frequencies, very, very low frequencies, and over here is the very, 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 very high frequencies. That stuff over here is, you don't even know or hear any of that stuff. Anything over here you won't really hear too much. So with the guitar, like I said, I want to cut out a lot of the low frequencies, even some of the mid lows, so that it would just kind of shine, and that's it. So if I were to, let's say, solo this out, press play. Now if I were to cut out even more of the low frequency, now there's just the high left, and that's how EQ works. So yeah. So I left some of the mids in. I did scoop a little bit, or the mid lows in. I scooped a little bit, and I left most of the mids in, and I kind of gave it a boost on the highs because like I said, I wanted it to shine. So that's how EQ works. So in order to not get some kind of bad noises and have them clash, the bass and the guitar, the bass has to have, usually hangs out around here, a little bit boost on the high end so it cuts through, and then you scoop some of these mids a little bit. Whereas the guitar, you scoop all these lows out as much as you can, and then so that the bass can hang out around here and the guitar can hang out around here. So the way that I have the guitar EQ'd, I think sounds really, really good for what we had at the time. And obviously there's just some reverb and a virtual mix rack, which has some compressors and stuff on it. Compressor and EQ, and also a compressor before that. What a compressor does, it takes high volume stuff and low volume stuff and makes it the same volume. That's the best way I can possibly think to say that really quickly. It takes high volume stuff and low volume stuff and makes them the same volume. If you really squish it, it'll just be a solid bar of of stuff. So they are pretty squished, but at the same time, this whole song is mostly strumming, so it's like I kind of wanted it to be. There's not a whole lot of dynamics going on in the guitar. And then in the opening, there was no vocals in the opening. So what I wanted to do was have a melody going, even though it's the opening of the song. I still wanted a melody going, because if it's just that guitar by itself, it's like, okay, who cares? You know what I mean? It's kind of like people will lose interest if there's not some kind of good melody in the beginning of a song, whether it is vocals or if it's some kind of lead. So what I did is I made a lead in the piano right here. Very simple. There's some panning going along with it as well. So I have it set up so that anything on the left side of the keyboard kind of goes a little bit more to the left, and then anything that's any of the higher notes goes a little bit more to the right. Just to give it some space. You wanna create space in the mix, and that's what I did there. So together they sound pretty neat, I think. So that's how I did that. Just because the purpose of a song is to make people feel something. You want them to feel what you're feeling and what you're saying in the song. And without a vocal there, how are you going to feel that? And the way to do it is to write a melody that coincides with the feeling, the general feeling of the song. And I thought that did well. And the way that I EQ'd that piano, let's see here, is I cut literally everything from, 200 on, and it's a zero low. Before it was very rumbly, boom, boom, very rumbly piano, even though the notes are kind of high, but I just didn't want it. And there was an ugly frequency right here, a big one. Like I was kind of surprised, but it was a really big ugly frequency, so I cut that out, and then I cut up the high. So it's really just this. It's kind of like more of like an 80 AM radio kind of sound to a piano. It just ended up sounding good that way. There are rules to this kind of stuff, and as you start making your own music and mixing yourself, when it comes to pop music, that's the reason I like pop music the most. You can break the rules almost all the time, and it doesn't matter, like, at all. As long as it sounds good and it's appealing, then go for it. You know what I mean? So you start with the rules. You're like, okay, piano's supposed to usually be like this. Click, 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 click. Oh, that doesn't sound the way I want it to. And then you go from there, and then you break all the rules, and you find something that you like. But using those like EQ rules and stuff like that in the first place do help. It makes things a little bit quicker. So Coming up next, I believe the vocals start right after that. Yeah. So we can just play that real quick.
I thought I had it figured out, but that was time long gone.
Very cool.
Said to myself, I'm stepping out.
Okay, so for this, let me turn my phone off real quick. For this, what we did, like I said, this is a very simple song as far as a mix and everything goes. So what we did with these vocals is, let's see, get these vocals soloed here. So I got 2 vocal tracks in this section.
I thought I had it figured out, but that was time long gone. Said to myself, I'm stepping out.
So his headphones were way too loud in this section, and in order to cut all that stuff out, I did some cleaning, and you can still hear it in the background, which is a huge no-no. But there, like I said, there was just a lot of things wrong with my equipment and with my program, and you know what? You just do what you can. But I think that turned out.
Was time long gone.
So, and then what we also had was his harmony here.
Time long gone.
So together they sound like this.
But that was time long gone.
And usually with harmonies, I would pan them to create more space in the mix. But since it was really simple, such a simple mix and such a simple style of music that we did for this, I didn't do any panning for any of the harmonies. I just left all of the vocals center. I wasn't planning on it, and I tried it the other way, and it just didn't seem right. So that's the route that we went.
Said to myself, I'm stepping out, and then it all came crashing down.
That's a really pretty harmony he did there.
All came crashing down.
Really like that one. If you solo those together.
It all came crashing down.
Very cool.
The mirror staying with ghosts. My view is compromised.
That one was really pretty too. So we played with a lot of things, and I think what we did for this section was he harmonized the whole thing. The thing about working with a good vocalist is that they can do that. They can harmonize a whole section, and then you can be like, all right, good, sounds good, you can get out now, and then you can go through and pick the pieces that you think would look or feel best for the composition. So in this case, he just harmonized the whole thing, like I said, and then when he left, I chopped out pieces that I thought were good, and I spaced them out so it would what's the best word? Trying to think of the best word for that. Complement that section the best.
My view is compromised.
Very cool.
And it's time to change for the last time, 'cause this is my time.
Funny part about that is this whole my time. Josh does not have a grit to his vocal. At least he really didn't at this moment. I think he's been working it out, and so this was like a 5, maybe 10-minute part where I was just going back and forth, my time, like, because my vocal has a grit to it naturally. Some people do, some people don't. His vocal is very clean, and he's usually doesn't put a lot of grit on it. So we took take after take and after take to get this part done. And I feel like it turned out pretty good. I think it could have turned out better had we tried longer for it. But today, if he were to record this song today, it would sound a lot different because he's changed his vocal so much, and I think he could probably land it a little bit better now. But the biggest part about making music and putting music out for people to hear is that you can't take it back after that. So you just have to be okay with what you got and feel good about what you did, and then put it out and just hope people like it. And with this song, especially with some of the way that things were recorded and stuff like that, it was really painstaking for me to like try to get the best mix I could out of what we had. And I think we did it. I really think we did it. Let's continue. I think the chorus is next.
Last time, 'cause this is my time. I'm coming back. Pick myself up off the ocean. This time I know for sure. Nothing but light. That's what I'm seeing right in front of me. And I can finally see I'm coming back.
Okay, a lot more going on in this section, and this was, I believe, if I remember right, this section was the very first section that we created for the song. So I created that the guitar for thing. That's the name of the file on here. So I created the guitar. So with the guitar, what we got going on here is very groovy, very just stoppy and in your face, and you got a lot of the guitar itself, the rhythm has a lot of grit to it. It just it kind of swings a little bit. I was really excited about that. And that was the first thing I played when we first started writing the song. I was like, how about this? He says, it sound cool, let's do it. Love it. Next was the key section for the chorus. So you could hear like it's following the guitar, but then there's an arpeggiate that's in there as well. So an arpeggiate that's in there as well. Just so it makes a really pretty sound together. So the way that this kind of works is the guitar and the kick drum and the bass and the snare and everything, those are all following the guitar, just dun 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 ba ba ba, and then it sounded cool. Like, I loved the way that sounded, but it also needed something to kind of just sit above it. You know what I mean? Something to kind of just carry the rhythms as they went, because the rhythms by themselves is so hard and so bitty and so snappy that it was really kind of jarring just to listen to it by itself. We can listen to it without the piano. So it's like, is it sweet? Sure. I mean, could the song have been like that? And then I would have had to mix the guitar in a little bit higher, maybe put a little bit more reverb on it. Could we have done it? Sure. But to me, it needed something to carry it. So that's what that arpeggio is for. right. So then the vocals in this section, really fun. Really, really fun. So we can solo out all the vocals all at once first. And I can show you how that goes.
And I'm coming back. Pick myself up off the ocean floor. This time I know for sure. Nothing but light.
Just so big.
That's what I'm seeing right
So
in
big.
front of me. And I can finally see I'm coming back.
So the way that we did this was equally as simple as anything else. So let's see here. So
I'm coming back. Pick myself up off the ocean.
So this is just a simple double. So what he did was sing one thing once. Let me get my other camera up here so you can see it a little bit better. What he did was sing this part once, and then he sung it again the exact same way. So the best he could, the exact same way. And anything that was wrong as far as timing goes, I changed in the program. I can change it in the program so they line up exactly the same, and that took a long time with this old program. With the new one, it's a lot quicker. But
And I'm coming back. Pick myself up off the ocean floor.
so that widens that vocal a lot because it's doubled on the reverb, it's doubled on the compression, it's doubled on everything, and it's two different takes. So all the little tiny nuances in his vocal that are different make it a lot fuller of a vocal. And then down here, this is just the harmony.
I'm coming back. Pick myself up off the ocean floor.
Very good harmony.
Nothing but light. That's what I'm seeing right in front of me. And I can finally see I'm coming back.
I just think that's so cool. And then in between all of that is just this random thing where we had to fill that space. And I can't remember if that came out of like necessity where we had to fill that space, or if that was part of his vocal that he had written originally. I can't remember.
The ocean floor. This time I know for sure. Nothing but light. That's what I'm seeing right in front of me. And I can finally see I'm coming back. And I'm coming back.
So cool. So cool. So all together, it just sounds like a really nice big vocal, and everything's lined up perfectly, and the harmonies are done really well. And then it results in, what you hear in the song is
I'm coming back. Pick myself up off the ocean. This time I know for sure. Nothing but light. That's what I'm seeing right in.
let's see here. What else do we got? So obviously we have the kick drum. Really not the craziest kick drum. It's just thick. Boom, 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 boom. It's just really, really thick. And that's the way that I wanted it for sure. So obviously I cut everything past this section here, but then everything, I put this up a little bit, whereas the other stuff, I take that down a little bit. And then anything over here, like above 10K, I didn't want in at all. And then I just upped it around 5K just to kind of get that click. If you could hear it, kind of the high part, dun, dun, just so that it cuts through. Because like just the low end, you can feel it, like in a car or something like that. And you can hear it. It's just like with a song like this, the rhythm is so important that it's a good idea to have that bass shine just a tiny little bit. This is a very simple snare. If I were to do this again, I would layer the snare. We were kind of crunched for time and blah, 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 and all the things that go on with this program. It would crash if I put too many things on, so we kind of had to back off of a huge production. Some of the newer stuff is like almost over 100 tracks. This is 20 tracks. Not that much, because this program would crash so often, which I'm super surprised that it hasn't yet, that we really couldn't do many of the things that we wanted to do. None of the routing or anything like that. So, but it's a pretty simple snare. I bet you, I know if I look at the EQ, I should have added some mids. See, this is completely flat right here. If I were doing this today, I would just bump that up a little bit. Yeah. If you're listening on a phone, it's going to sound exactly the same to you. But if you're listening on some nice headphones or something, it might have sounded a little different to you. To me, it sounds a lot different because I do this all the time. What do we got here? Oh. Just a really simple hi-hat. The thing about open hi-hats is that it's like when you add in, a lot of people don't add in open hi-hats that often, like in like some trap music and things like that. But in a rock song, gotta have it. You gotta have it. It makes it like, oh, are you ready? Oh, are you ready? Oh, are you ready? It's just like another feeling and style that can go into something. The drums by themselves, what is this? It's the egg shaker, I think. Yeah. And then an egg shaker for the chorus as well, which is just this guy. I think it was all three of these put together. So I have 3 egg shakers here. One sounds like this. A little bit thicker beads in there. Really thick beads. And then this one's the lightest one. So all of them together, real thick. And I usually record all 3 together and just EQ out whatever I don't want.
That's what I'm seeing.
But if we just solo out the drums here, and of course I would have these drums grouped as well if I was working with the newer Cubase, but I just couldn't for this because of the limitations. It's such a simple drum beat, but it made a huge difference in the song, and just like the way and the vibe with that guitar. I'm just a huge fan of it.
Being right in front of me, and I can finally see I'm coming back. No.
My favorite part of this chorus that I added in way later, that's why it's not in the area where the drums are. I'm gonna put it down there now because it's gonna bother me. Is just this upbeat snare that I put in. Just a nice, clean, upbeat snare that makes the entire thing go from just a random like acoustic rock song to a pop song. I don't know why, it just does.
I'm coming back. Pick myself up off the ocean. This time I know for sure. Nothing but light.
There's something about it that just made it the whole thing just kind of have a lighter, kind of more fun vibe. Just that one random sound that I decided to put in, like probably I think it was last minute, where I was like, man, this needs something, and it just makes that whole part shine for reasons unknown, honestly. Like I did it, I was like, wow, that's great, and then it just sounds good.
That's what I'm seeing right in.
Let's move on to
I'm coming back. I'm coming back, my inspiration
yes.
is my consolation. Pick myself up off the floor that felt like desolation. You tried to put me in a place where I'd be crying.
So this part right here, I was not a big fan of at first. When he first came to me with it, I think we tried it as pure rap the first time, and then we tried it as something else, and it's just like it's very quick. It's very difficult to do. I'm coming back as desolation in my desolation. I've listened to it so many times I know the words. But it just ended up being a lot better than I thought. And the only way that I could get it to work is if I cut out every single thing aside from this piano right here. So I cut out all of the instruments, just let him be by himself for the most part. And then had those drums. If you look at the snare drum here and the kick drum here, the kick drum's always red, for me at least, and so is actual bass. Bass is always red as well. Just so, because they go hand in hand, so I want to make sure that they're the same color. But I had the drums kind of pop in slowly, and then the rest of the instruments kind of pop in slowly, just to make that transition sound right, because I couldn't figure out a way to get those fast vocals that weren't in the rest of the song into the song. This is the only way I could think of it, and it ended up turning out really good. Because out of nowhere, it's just like he starts spitting, spitting these rhymes or whatever.
Back, my inspiration is my consolation. Pick myself above the floor that felt like desolation. You try to pull me in a place where I'd be crying. Well, how's that working out? The way I was before you left me feeling down and out. But in the end you gave me something to be proud about. So boost my voice up louder when you're feeling down. I'm coming back. Pick myself up off the ocean.
Okay, so now we're getting into the very last chorus, which is obviously the funnest. You guys can hear all the stuff going on. And the only things that we really did a whole lot different is just more vocal tracks. We just layered the hell out of the vocal tracks, and you could hear it. It's pretty evident. I'll play all the vocal tracks by themselves. Let's see here. I'm just gonna play all the vocal tracks without the instruments in the background.
I'm coming back. Pick myself up off the ocean. This time I know for sure. Nothing but light. That's what I'm seeing right in front of me. And I can finally see I'm coming back. I'm coming back.
Just a crazy arrangement, and this is what you can do when you have a vocalist that has a good range. When you have a vocalist come in that has a range, like a 2-octave, 2.5 octave range, a 3-octave range. When you have them come in and we start going back and forth with things. Hey, you want to try this? You want to try this? I want to go try it. And then he can belt that. It's really, really great when you have a vocalist in your studio that can do things like that. Vocalists that can't, completely fine. You just figure out different ways to do it and work around it to make it sound good. But this song specifically ended up sounding really, really good at the end because of the things that he can do with his vocal. So we have the two regular parts right here, which are, just the main vocal and then the exact copy of it, sing twice. And then right here, let me just kind of break into some of these. Okay, right here. Sorry.
Voice up louder.
So then he comes in. I mean, for real. Like, and it's not, you don't want to do this for an entire song. You don't want to do that for an entire song. So you wait until a spot where it's needed and it's necessary. And it just sounds great. I mean, and perfectly done. So if we just kind of, he might hate me for this, but we're just going to listen to the dry of that. It's probably going to have some reverb on it still, but let's mute it then. Hold on one second. I gotta remember how to do it on this program. Okay, here we go. Ugh, I can't figure it out. Okay. All right. Oh man. Okay, give me a second. This is I can't remember how to do it on this program. Okay, let me see here. Anyway, it sounds really good. Anyway, it's a very good take of that. And most of the time when you get a take of something like that, it ain't great. You just have to work. You have to work something in and try to figure it out. But his vocal did really good in that section. This made me laugh a million times over. And you hear it in the background. You're like, okay, but he's saying nothing but light, and it just makes me every single time. Like, I don't know. It made me laugh, but it sounds really good in the mix. And then next, of course, and then there's these backing vocals here too. So what this was supposed to be is kind of like a choir in the background hanging out, just really quiet. This is really quiet in the background. If you listen to it in the full mix, you can't really hear it that much, but it really just fills it all out. Let's play the whole thing from top to bottom as far as just this last chorus goes. Another great one. Hold on. I got to. This is fantastic right here. Again, if a vocalist can do something like that and they come in your studio, find a place to put it. Even if it's way, way back in the mix, it's going to help the song when you get a solid take like that. Or just have them do it for samples later. Because it's not often that you get someone that can have a big enough range and a strong enough range for that. I'm sorry.
That's what I'm seeing right in front of me, and I can finally see I'm coming back. I'm coming back. Pick myself up off the ocean. This time I know for sure. Nothing but light. That's what I'm seeing right in front of me, and I can finally see I'm coming back.
Guys, gals, very, very cool. I mean, that was it. That was the entire song. Like I said, this is a really simple setup for a project. There's not a lot going on, and aside from the mixing, tracking something like this was actually relatively simple. Now, like I said, some of the waveforms and stuff are a little small, and I usually would have, something a little bit, they'd be tracked a little bit better than that. But I'm fine with it, with this song. And it ended up being really, really, really cool song. And it took a while, but it very, very cool. Very small song as far as, like I said, it's only 18 tracks. Or let me see, 21 tracks. But at the end of the day, it's like you don't always need a ton to make a good song. Sometimes, almost all the time, less is more. And it really depends on the song and stuff like that. But this song, if I would have added a bunch of more stuff later, it would have been too full. It wouldn't have gotten the feeling that it has in it. It wouldn't have had the simplistic charm that it has in it. It would have been missing a lot of the things that ended up being the good parts of the song. So leaving it simple was a good thing. And what really shines is the rhythm in the chorus. That's huge. And then obviously Josh's vocal. really shine in the song, and you got a chance to really do some cool stuff at the end there, and getting the chance to track somebody that can do stuff like that, and also getting the chance to mix stuff like that was really, really fun. If you guys have any questions, put it in the comments. I definitely 100% will be checking those, and if there's any good questions, I'll be answering them. That's it. There will be more of these. There will be more of these for every song that we put out, and there'll be more for other artists on my YouTube channel, artists that don't have anything to do with Stream Studios yet. We are looking into bringing some more artists in, so thank you guys so much for watching. This was Lucas. One mix tutorial. Thank you. Bye-bye.